Man, okay, let's take a look at this. I've been asked about Fadak. Right, so, okay, let's take a look at Fadak. This is, without going into too much detail, but Fadak is one of the, or the issue of Fadak is a central issue between Shia-Sunni conflict. Fadak refers to a piece of land that belonged to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the question was, after the Prophet had passed away, should his children, or in this particular case Fatima radiallahu anha, inherit the land? Now Fatima radiallahu anha believed Fatima believed radiallahu anha that she was entitled to that land because it's her father's land, the Prophet's land, but this isn't a prophethood issue. This is just a regular issue of propriety, of ownership. So she is entitled as the child to inherit the father's property. Now Abu Bakr radiallahu an, he kind of blocked that inheritance. And he said that you're not allowed to inherit it because there is a hadith where the Prophet said, "Nahnu ma'shar al-anbiya, that la nurithu dirhaman wala dinaran, walakin nurithu al-ilm." That we do not bequeath, that we the prophets do not leave as a, like we bequeath is to kind of leave as an inheritance, that we do not leave as inheritance money, dinars and dirhams, rather we leave behind knowledge. That faman warithahu, that whosoever inherits it has indeed obtained a hadhan kabiran or hadhan wafiran, or that he has obtained something, you know, of great fortune. Now the question was, when the Prophet said this, was he speaking generically or was he speaking legislatively? Now, to be honest, in my opinion, I don't feel that the Prophet ﷺ was saying that legislatively. So I do agree personally with Fatima radiallahu anha on this issue, that I feel that she was right in her claim to Fadak, to the land of Fadak, because to her this hadith would have been speaking generally, like making a general statement that, oh, what do you think prophets leave? They leave knowledge, of course. It's a kind of like a, duh, what do you think prophets bring? But it's not to say that prophets do not participate in worldly affairs. But it's to emphasize that the primary focus of prophets is the risala, the message. That said, look, I'm just saying here because somebody's saying, well, would you say Josephine, which reminds me of the famous statement of Napoleon, that not tonight, Josephine. Right, but not getting distracted, has asked a question here that, so did Abu Bakr get it wrong? You see, I just pause right there. I don't think this is a I can see why Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said what he said. I can see it. It's not like a you know, it's not like he got the working out wrong. You know, this is not like a mathematical equation that I look at it and I say, oh, well, you know, you've forgot to include these numbers, or you didn't remove the brackets, or you didn't do... This is not a right or wrong. This is a matter of opinion. You understand? So when the Prophet was saying this, what do you think he was saying? There is no definitive response to it, because the Prophet is no longer there to explain that when he's saying this, what did he exactly have in mind? So now I can see why Abu Bakr radiallahu anh took it literally. He took it in the sense that, oh, the Prophet said, we do not leave as inheritance except knowledge. Khalas, we do not leave as inheritance anything, so you cannot, other than knowledge, therefore, you cannot inherit anything. However, Fatima radiallahu anha's claim that this is not really speaking on, this is not speaking legislatively, this is just giving a generic kind of teaching. I would personally see that, that would resonate more with me as what the Prophet was trying to say, as opposed to that the Prophet was speaking legislatively on this particular opinion. So it's not a right or wrong in my position. It's not to say, oh, you got this totally wrong. It's not like that. But I would find myself more in agreement with what Fatima radiallahu anha, her claim. Obviously, Abu Bakr was the ruler. Now he was the caliph. So his decision is final. I wouldn't agree in any kind of rebellion against his decision. Although even if I was to say I would, as an opinion, disagree with that outcome. But, you know, you can disagree. There's nothing, you know, Abu Bakr radiallahu an, for example, just so you understand this, that Abu Bakr radiallahu an has many opinions in fiqh, in how to pray, in how to do things. We have, they're not that many, but we have ruling from Abu Bakr, we have ruling from Umar. By the way, most of which people don't follow. You know, I'm just not trying to, you know, before you try to kind of go, oh my God, deviant. I'm just saying I've got an entire encyclopedia up there of the fiqh of Umar radiallahu anh. I guarantee you most people, Hanafis definitely don't follow the fiqh of Umar by and large, maybe as a one-off. Imam Malik more so does because of Medina, but Hanafis don't. So Shafi'is don't as much, but so it's not the first time you're turning away from a ruling within fiqh of a caliph. So it's not, you know, so we don't need to get so shocked. I'm not insulting the caliphs or anything. I'm just saying I would personally find myself in line with how Fatima radiallahu anha was thinking. Because I would think that that's how the Prophet would have meant that. But obviously Abu Bakr has ruled differently. Whatever's happened has happened. This then became a huge issue of contention because Fatima radiallahu anha was upset. I can understand why she was upset. I don't think that there was any kind of malice or malevolent intent on on Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's part, but I can understand how she got upset about the whole matter. Then there's a bit of news about, I mean, then there's like narrations about things that have happened, which I feel are not authentic. I don't know whether any of that is true. Like people say, oh, Abu Bakr went and kicked down her door, for example. That doesn't really sound like Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. I'm just saying, I don't know. I find that a bit difficult to believe. But people present stories that Abu Bakr kicked down her door, and then then I think they say Umar kicked down her door, sorry, and it caused a miscarriage and things like. I don't think I'm not, because there's other narrations that will say that nothing like that ever happened. Although Fatima was definitely unhappy with Abu Bakr. That much we have in Sahih al-Bukhari. It mentions that she was unhappy with them. And then she passes away so soon, within 6 months after the Prophet, that it's difficult to establish what exactly happened. Because a lot is happening in that 6 months. You know, there's the rebellions, the uprising, there's civil war taking place, Bani Hanifa, the tribe of Bani Hanifa, apostate, there's Musaylim al-Kathab, the false prophet, he begins his religion, a lot is going on. There's a lot of the Hufaz are dying, so Abu Bakr's thinking about putting the Quran together, there's a lot taking place. So in this time, Fatima also passes away. You know, so yeah, but I think today I don't agree in fighting over this issue, because whatever's happened has happened. Okay. I think why can't we just discuss things sometimes? If we want to discuss them, we can discuss them, but I don't think we should make a thing out of it. Do you understand? Because it's happened. I can't change it. You can't change it. Whatever happened has happened. Um, yeah, so I do feel in some ways it was definitely quite sad. I don't think it was done purposely. I don't feel. So I don't feel that it's fair to accuse Abu Bakr or Umar radiallahu anhum of things, because I don't think they did it with any kind of malicious intent. I feel that that was just their way of thinking. And sometimes as humans interact, you upset people. It's just the nature of life, unfortunately. And yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. I hope that helps. Right, let's move on to another question, people. So yeah, there it is. Yep, so the main thing is we should build bridges, okay? This whole Shia Sunni thing has kind of gone on too long. I mean, we won't be able to resolve it, but we need to get beyond the utter hostility. I'll tell you something. I'm going through a book on Judas. Judas Iscariot. Now, Judas the traitor. And it really struck me that it's so interesting that Judas, who betrays Jesus, one of the disciples of Jesus, alayhi salam, who betrays him, and Judas, shortly after the betrayal, commits suicide, and he's allegedly buried in this place, Hakal Dema, which is like Haklud Dema, the field of blood. Now, he hangs himself there, or he commits suicide. Now, it's interesting that such a negative character within Christianity, I don't know, I could be wrong on this, but from what I was just reading up on him, I was going through this book about him, and I thought it's amazing how, despite him being the ultimate traitor, the Judas, the Judas kiss in, the Garden of Gethsemane, the whole thing about betraying Jesus to the Romans, yet Christianity, especially today, I mean, I don't know whether historically it did happen or not, but they don't go around cursing Judas. There isn't this thing of like Judas, la'natullahi alayhi, and may the curse of God destroy. There's none of this kind of hyperbole of emotions that are attached with Judas, and I find that quite fascinating, that you can have a character who is so negative, and obviously they don't like him, they don't like what he did, his ultimate betrayal of Jesus, yet there isn't this kind of hatred, this kind of proactive hatred that is transmitted against him. I just find that fascinating, that's all. Somebody said emotions are good. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. I'm not saying they ain't. Alright, let me just flip in between here. Right, so people, let me just check up on the Facebook, people. What is going on? See what they're saying. Alright, so yeah, lol, as a Shia, I actually agree with you here, Mufti. Yeah, I mean, shukran, much appreciated. I'm not saying emotions are good, but I just feel sometimes we get too emotional.